Yeah, good evening to all. This is yeah, I'm sorry, I have some problem with my system. Like uh, I need to update the Microsoft, so that's fine. So good evening to all. Those who were not there yesterday, maybe Leela was not there, but other guys were there. Like Madhu was there, some was there, Majid was there. So, so we should not wait for anyone. We'll start straight away. But a few things like before I start, no, I had discussion with my team, Salvation team, and we thought like to have okay Saturdays only on Saturdays a continuous 3 hour section. I mean 3 hour session. Okay, with a short break. Uh, and this time like I'm going to count our classes in the terms of number of hours we are engaged. So like once we complete this MDSAP, of course, MDSAP is done. I'll be talking something on the transitioning of this, what we discussed yesterday, transitioning of ESFDA 20, transitioning of this 820 for 820. I'll talk a little bit on that, and I'll also tell you what you have to do now or later when you want to get or integrate your ISO with USFDA QMS. Okay, I'll give you phase-wise master plan. Uh, and second, I'll be today talking about the new regulation. Of course, this too happened uh, when our session started on November 2nd, November 7th. Okay, the third edition started. It is about the changes in biocompatibility. Okay, what changes happened in, I mean, biocompatibility lessons in ISO 10993 2025 version came. Okay, earlier it was 2018 version. Now we got 2025 version. So from now onwards, you all need to follow the new version of 2025 that came in biocompatibility, that is 10993. I'll speak about that. What is the gap analysis? How you need to implement on that. So these are two major changes that happened during our course of study. One is, of course, as I said, on back compatibility ISO 10993 2025 edition came in. The second most important to me, I think, is on the alignment of the USFDA, okay, QMS with 1345 is the big historical change that has taken place. I mean, I never expected that USFDA will come and combine with ISO 13485. Of course, we know like in MDSAP, they have aligned with a lot of nations, okay, a lot of countries in aligning, but this is something very separate and significant. Okay. And the third change what happened during our sessions is the some of the changes that were proposed, okay, in UUMDR 2017. Okay, that were not still implemented. Still, we can discuss on what are the changes that are made. Okay, in UUMDR 2017, I can tell you like what are the lists. There will be 7, 8 things that have been changed recently. It more guys. UMDR has now given bit of flexibility, what we call relaxation, okay, for the organizations, given some more time, like on the implants and some other things, they were given up to 2027. Okay, there was some time changes in time schedule, and there were 2, 3 things which they made it very stringent. Okay, these are three changes. Changes in UMDR 2017. Okay, as so that some back compatibility, we got the 2024 version, 2025 version that came, and of course, USFDA merging with ISO 1348. Apart from these three major changes that happened in the last 2 months, okay, maybe in last 2.5 months, there were also significant changes or what we call new documentation that came from. I think I shared that with you. How many of you read? I don't know on MDCG documents. Okay, that's from the European Commission. A lot of MDCG documents came in. Okay, that MDCG 2025 document number 20, I think. Okay, that is one came in, and there are a lot of changes that have happened in SOMED. Okay, new amendments came in. It's not total overall, I mean, over change or overall of the document standard, but new amendments were added. Okay, that also I'll share with you, but if you don't have time reading it, I'll also, I mean, I will brief you in an 1 hour or 1.5 hour class, like what are the changes that are happening. And I also know what are the future changes that will be happening in next 3, 4 months. Uh, because couple of you are there in AML, there is a new AI Act that came in Europe. Uh, it's a good thing, like they have made regulatory compliance. You can use machine learning models, okay, for a lot of applications. That is the EU AI Act. Uh, it was it was there released long time back, but now they made it. I mean, there were some amendments that are made mainly in view of medical devices, not on medical health, basically on healthcare system. Okay, healthcare includes all the clinicals, hospitals, including medical devices. Other things where we can use them. Okay, and the other change which I said could be okay. Second, I think there is not recorded.
Started now. Yeah, now it is progress, sir.
But I didn't heard. I was more focusing on the discussion, and thanks, Leela. Yeah, it's Madhu. What I was talking. Yeah, the other big change could be, I think I told you in the beginning of my lecture, first class or second class. I thought there could be, I mean, there is a high probability that we'll get a new version or new edition of ISO 13485 2026. Okay, this year we are going to get 2026 ISO 13485. I know once because there will be a lot of changes that will happen in monthly 485, mainly after integration of the USFDA and also uh, based on the changes that are happening, basically focusing more 13485 2026 edition, if it comes out, I know like it will be focusing more on Summit. Okay. Uh, because we have a lot of medical devices that are coming from software as medical devices, or software in medical devices, or software as accessories in medical devices. So these are three categories. Okay, when I come to Summit, I'll discuss on that. A software is, these three classes. Software as a medical device because it is standalone. The software is a medical device which serves the intended use. Okay, that is SawMed. Saw in med is software in medical devices. It may not be the one uh, which is totally responsible for the intended use, but it may support the medical device. Okay, not like SawMed. SawMed is something standalone. Saw in med is it acts as a support system. Okay, could be some ML models that could support these medical device equipment or some software, but it's not that it totally takes decisions. Okay, and the other is Sawmed as an accessory, which comes in third category, very low risk. Sawmed is high risk. Sawmed is moderate. Okay, if you look at IEC 62035, and SawMed is low risk. Like we use a lot of softwares, okay, design and development softwares or softwares simple for I mean used in biostats. Okay, like Prism, we use a lot of Prism softwares, or we use some dashboards. Okay, these are including your biometric system. Okay, this could also be will come in software as an accessory in biomedical device. If you are using a biometric, whether it's fingerprint or face recognition, that need to be validated. So in 2026 version of ISO 13485, there will be a lot of emphasis on this SOMADs. Okay, and there will be a lot of emphasis on the PMS. Okay, I'll tell you like on trend analysis, what we are discussing. I was talking on this since last 1 year, wherein you need to be very proactive. Okay, you need to have proactive approach in QMS, not that you react to everything after what has happened. Okay, even in your production, if your rejection rates are going down, don't act after the rejection rates have come down to 50%. You need to predict that my rejection rates are coming down. You need to have a trend analysis that something is going to go wrong in QMS. Okay, it could be anything, guys. Like in QMS total, you need to have an overview. Okay, like I said, ISO 1, what we discussed on ISO, what are the four pillars of ISO we discussed? Okay, it's a PDCA cycle, but I don't like that PDCA cycle. It's an outdated one, but still it's there in the regulation. You need to risk-based approach. Okay, process interlinkage, process-based interlinkage. Okay, and the fourth one is we need to have regulatory compliance. Okay, the fifth one that could be added in 2026 version is the predictive analytics or trend analysis. Because as you know, the world is changing, that there's a lot of technology available. You need to able to predict what is coming in PMS, what are the dangerous threats that are coming, and you need to preempt them much before. Okay, not like after they happen. That is going to be addition. I said summit, and that is going to be very strong in 2026. Okay, and I know like the management responsibility will increase. Uh, But I see a lot of significant changes in clause 8 that could happen. So these are four, five things. If you sum it up, like biocompatibility 10993, new one came in. Okay. USFDA has aligned with 13485, maybe tomorrow or day after tomorrow on 2nd. And yeah, the changes that are going to happen in UMDR 2017. Okay. And the AA Act, EU AA Act and FDA AA Act, okay, now has included healthcare system, basically medical devices also looking into our domain, they included into AI Act. There are some amendment. And the fifth one that is going to happen, okay, uh, is like on the new version, new edition of ISO that is going to come in 2026. I'm just predicting it, and I have a lot of reasons, and most probably it will happen. Because no, I have three, four strong reasons. After after every decade, the ISO will undergo changes. Okay, we have it in 2016 and 2026, it is supposed to change. And in this 10 years, there were a lot of amendments that are added. See, adding amendments doesn't seem good. Okay, like amendments to bring in EU, I mean ENISO, there were some changes. There were some amendments that are linked to mainly the design and development, amendments that are linked to regulatory compliance. So you have like, apart from the original document that is there in ISO 13485 2016, I think like there are 12 amendments that been added, more than 12, some may be very minor, I don't remember. But the most important 12 amendments that are added. So once you keep on adding amendments, it will become a bit risky. So they will, what they do is they overall come with a new edition, adding all the amendments, okay, that have they have done in last 10 years. So come with a new edition with these changes. Like I said, more emphasis on SOMED. Actually, that is one amendment that has been added. More emphasis on predictive analytics. Okay, more emphasis on the PMS, uh, stuff like that. Okay. You have any questions? Yeah, I said like the one more thing, like I had discussion with my salvation team, mainly the senior members. They said like don't look at the days what you're doing, what you're covering. They said you take sessions, I mean, based on number of hours you are covering a particular topic. So I too felt like I've taken the suggestion. So I'll be looking at number of hours I have covered. Okay, like I know 13485 I was taken a lot of time because that is the basic for our QMS. Okay, we have internal auditor training also. And of course, we had the exam and certification. Okay, we have discussed almost, I don't remember the hours, but most of the lion's share or bulk of the time we were was on 13485, then we moved to MDSAP. So once I complete, once I move into ISO 13485, because, sorry, ISO 14971, ISO 14971, that's on risk management. I'll take 9 hours for that. Okay, I know it's important. And most of course, you people who are there now are attending, okay, regularly, that's good. But most of them are going with voice recording. So, I mean, that's fine for them if they are going for listening to the recording sessions. And the other thing, like, if it is they are listening to only recording sessions, point one, that's up to them. And second thing, those who are participating, there is very less interaction with me. Okay. You guys are not asking any questions. I am asking so many questions. And but one-to-one discussion, you are interacting more. I know, like Aman was, we had almost 2 hours interaction one to one when nobody joined. Some 3 to 3 weeks back, I was talking about a lot of things. So how to work with this organization. Even yesterday, I had almost 45 minute discussion or 1 hour discussion with Majid on what he's doing or what are his future plans and some guidance things like. So one to one is good, but it, I can't do one to one every class. So you should ask, interact with me in a way that is more related to your organization or your personal attritions, like how we can work out this. Suppose I talked about MD, sir. If I am in your place, I would have asked so many questions. Okay. Or just you are listening and maybe casually you're listening in. And also say this is the new one alignment of the 134, sorry, USFDA with 13485. There'll be a lot of things that can be discussed. And later I'll be talking on biocompatibility, 10993. After that, okay, in 9 hours, I will structure my discussion for 9 hours. That 9 hours, okay, 8 hours I'll talk with you on risk management. I know that's very, very important as we discuss a lot of time. Risk management is there everywhere. In every class, you need to apply risk management. And if you go into MDSAP, that becomes very crucial. Even in your QMS, you need to, not only for devices, even your QMS, you need to apply risk management. Okay, and risk management has become very critical as a linkage, connecting linkage between your PMS, your CER, and your annexure one that is in UMDR, that is GSPR. Okay, and also to your usability, and end of the day, okay, it dictates, all these interlinks will dictate your IFU. Okay, how many of you know like how people write IFU? I'll just we copy from our competitors or predicated that this is my IFU, or what's the structure of IFU? So the best thing any competent person at the end of the day should do is, many won't attempt that. But I see like if you can write an IFU, okay, not taking anything, starting from your device description to the intended use, indications of use, because you need to understand what is the intent difference between intended use, indications of use, where from you write this precautions, warnings, contraindication, where from which document you'll get it. Okay. And of course, like how the device has to be used. The other things like storage, all that stuff will come, expiry date. So all this data is gathered from different documents and you'll prepare a IFU. So how you are going to prepare an IFU at the end of the day, okay, could be one of the assignment to you after I speak. Mostly I'll be talking in next 8 hours in different sessions, and 1 hour will be more interaction section where I'll give some simple assignments. Then later I will be because I don't know, like you're getting bored of seeing me or talking with of my lectures. So couple of lectures will be, not couple, few topics will be taken by other persons. Okay, they are good. Like on something on regulatory, but I'll be focusing more on risk management. The other is on SOMED. Okay, and I'll be focusing on the clinicals. Okay, these three I'll talk. Rest, even I think I need to talk on, because there are not many experts, okay, to talk on design and development. If somebody wants to take up, I will give it to them. And most importantly, I want to talk more on, apart from design development, the one uh, which could worth talking and you gaining knowledge in that is on validations. Okay, a lot of validations, uh, and CPK, we call it as, okay, product performance. Not it's like performance of the products, how they are doing. Okay, and PPK, CPK, and also on basic statistics. The basic statistics is mainly on data analysis. Okay, which comes in clause 8. Okay, clause 8, I think 8.4, something like that. So this I'll be stressing more, and uh, few of these modules the others will be talking, and we'll structure it more otherwise how we'll discuss on that, because of late I feel like we are drifting focus on what exactly has to be dealt with you, because it's going one way, very less interactions from your side. I'm doing all the stuff, sharing documents, but I don't know how many of you read documents and all that stuff. So just coming to this on what we started yesterday, that we will end it today on the same subject, alignment of, okay, on alignment of US FDA 21 CFR 820 with, of course, we discussed a lot. I think only Leela or Arulmati, I don't know, Arulmati was also not there. But for their benefit, I will touch few points, but I'll go very fast on this. But because I said like, actually I merged both this in one document. Okay, this is what we discussed yesterday, guys. I'm going to pause those who are absent, maybe Leela and Arulmati. Uh, well, this is the background, like, again, I'm telling it's in next 2 days, FDA is going to integrate their QMS, so that is QSR, Quality System Regulation, with ISO 13485. Once it is merged, it will be called as Quality Management System Regulations, QMSR. Okay, it won't be QMS anytime. You need to forget that word. QMS, QMS, QMS. So keep this in your mind. It will be quality management system regulations. So QMS is going to merge with PSR, both combined. A new baby is born. That is QMS, quality management system regulation. Okay. But I told it's not like when they are merging as okay, like the twins or something like more genotypic. Okay, not genotypic. It's more like a phenotypic. No, they are not doing. They are merging more in the genotypic because some very specific regulatory requirements of the US FDA has to be fulfilled, though they come into 13485. Okay, regulatory requirements that yesterday we discussed or on chapter 2 and chapter 4, what we, learned in MDSAP, that is on marketing registration, sorry, device authorization, facility registration. Okay, that is separate. Okay, because that comes more into an regulatory intent. If you want to register your devices, okay, in US, that is separate. It doesn't come under QMSR. And also on the facility registration, you need to do it separately. Your facility will be identified as US QMS are compliant, but registration you need to pay registration fee, all that structure. Okay, and the second is on adverse event reporting advisory notices that will be separate. It won't be there in ISO. So these are country specific, US specific. Okay, adverse events advisory notices, you need to update them in mode, which won't come in QMSR, though they align. This you need to deal separately. I told yesterday to those who are present that it's like aligning your EU requirements with ISO 13485. That's a European device regulations. Okay, with 13485 to make it ENISO. Okay. So now instead of ENISO, we are making this ISO 13485 into QMSR, Quality Management of System Regulations. So outwardly, it's good, like we have one audit where you get ISO 13485 and you have, satisfied the QSR or 21 CFR 820 of the US. So one audit will go ahead with this. You may have a lot of questions like what MDSAP is doing now. If US is there in MDSAP, you want to go for MDSAP with US and five other four countries, you can go. Or if you want to align only with US, you can opt this QMSR because there are a lot of companies who want to sell exclusively in US, where they don't want Australia, they don't want all this stuff. Even in MDSAP also you have this flexibility that you can align ISO with only US or two countries. So if you want three countries, you can align. Suppose you want Canada, Japan, and US. In MDSAP also you can do. So there are a lot of organizations who don't want to explore all five. But to me, I think that's a better thing to explore all five regulations into ISO. Because once you get the other three countries also in, okay, like Switzerland, South Korea, Singapore. These two will surely will join Switzerland and South Korea. Singapore, I'm not sure, but among Singapore, Vietnam, and Argentina, among these three, one is going to join. So it will be almost like these five and the other three, it will become eight. So you will be having, these are all big markets. Like you see Brazil is big market, Argentina is big market, US is big market. Health Canada is not a big market. Canada is not a big market, but you'll have easy accessibility. Okay, because they are so closely aligned. And I told Japan entry is a problem. Okay, it has some market for high-end technology equipment if it is of low cost. But Japan is different, and I told Australia is a bit tough. Uh, I told they want a lot of evidence-based or conformity assessment-based, clinical-based conformity assessments, and they're very stringent on GMP. Okay, uh, though you may have market, but entry, if you can try, that's fine. So this is a separate set. As I was telling to Masjid, like you have an ISO. On that basis, you can make an ENISO that is for Europe. Okay, that's one session, one part. Part B is you can make your ISO. Okay, align with USFDA, that is QMSR. Okay, that's part B. Then the other is you can make ISO 13485 align with MDSAP. These five countries and the other three countries which will be added, I think in summer. Okay, summer for India. By May, June, that will be it. So I can try. So you have a lot of options how to align based on your markets. Okay. Uh, as I said, this is important, guys. See, FDA specific requirements that are retained, which you don't see in ISO. Okay, records and inspections. This is FDA authority. Okay. And main thing I told regarding QMS, or you please remember this. Uh, they audit when your company is functioning, operational. Okay, not when your company is in status quo or you don't do any production, like how it happens in ISO 134. It's not like window shopping they do. Okay, you are all your production activities, or whether your design development, production, QC, sterilization, XYZ, all has to be functional during the audit time. What I mean to say is that they will look at your live documents, what you are doing now or during the audit. Okay, how you are doing your production? Do you have production records of what material you have taken, transfer slips, all that? What are the records you are having live? Okay, what QC is doing, how you are sending sterilization batches, what are the outsourced activity, what design and development is doing. I said like in MDSAP I told they have they I mean review the design and design controls file. Basically, we call design history file very much. Don't forget that. It may be boring to those who have listened to yesterday, but uh, okay. And there will be UDI, DI, PI, I explained. This is mainly for traceability. Okay, you'll have a barcode, like it's a new thing. Uh, In Europe also we have this UDI DIPA, but Europe has a different system on traceability. So this will be there. That is 820, 21 CFR 820. Labeling is very different. So you need to follow 801, 820, 803. This is the main thing. Reporting obligations. Okay. Medical. This is yesterday also I forgot it. What I told this yesterday. Yeah, it is medical device reporting. Medical device reporting is basically on the adverse events and regulate advisory notices. This is medical device reporting. It comes in 21 CFR 803. This remains separate. So you know now you have 820. That is basically the QMS or QSR of USFDA that will come in. But this they may not come in, but you need to align them separately. Okay, 803 on medical device reporting, adverse events, advisory notices. 830 on UDA, basically UDA is unique device identifier. Okay, on 830, labeling is 801. Okay, this I'll share this document, you can do. See, all these clauses are fully adopted. This is ISO 13485 clause. Okay. These are fully adopted in QMSR, quality management system regulation, but the FDA expectations will be very heavy. Don't take this easily. Few of the things I told, like they want like a total vigilance, 365 days they will have vigilance over your organization. Okay, they want everything evidence based. Okay, we discussed like in MDSAP also, there will be a lot of management responsibility. Okay, they look at the training and effectiveness in resource management. Okay, effectiveness in the sense it's not only training, how effective was the training? Conducted the training or on-job training, or it's a specialized training, skill-based training. So in training, you have a lot of things. Okay, just QMS training or on-job training, skill-based training on some separate things. Okay, like, or even it could be a GDP, good documentation practice, GMP. So you have different training sessions and training sets that can be given, but they look at the effectiveness of the training. It's not like you write a document and sign everything and say that I have trained this guy. That is not done. Okay, and I already told design and development. Whenever you remember ESFDA, just remember design and development. Or in Crux, if you want to go, remember design history file. Okay, maybe in YouTube guys might. Of course, I mean your main head office or your main manufacturing facility will be doing there. I think it's in US or something. And it's not they look at just copper. Okay, whether okay you have a complaint, you have done root cause analysis, and you have done a copper. They won't look at that. They look the effectiveness of your copper. That is verification of effectiveness of your copper because they don't want the same complaint to come back. Okay, if there is a recurrence of the same complaints, your copper is ineffective. Okay, which means you'll have a warning letter. Here you remember it is called not called as non-compliances. Of course, you can call them non-compliances. Like in ISO, we have minor, major, sorry, yeah, minor, major, and other observations or opportunity for improvement. But here they call it as warning letters. Okay, is filled in form 483. You have a form like 483 where they will give you warning letters that you are not, they don't call it compliance. You do have obligations. Okay, not compiling with these regulations of FDA. So if there are two, I think, if I'm not wrong, any two warning letters and single audit, that could be a problem for the company. I need to check whether two or three, but if three warning letters are there, I mean, don't be afraid that you won't get the certification. So FDA removed all this scope one, scope two, I mean, sorry, class one, class two, class three. The terminology will be like what we use in ISO. Okay, documentation language will be same. There won't be any redundant or repetition of documentation. Okay, less duplication and all this stuff. This is what I said. They'll give you warning letters. Form 483. I think this we all cover. So what is the strategic advantage? I think I stopped here, but I think I told to you what is the strategic advantage. If you go early in transforming your ISO 13485 into QMSR, okay, of course, this will be a single global QMS, okay. And I told to Masjid or somebody when you adopt anything, when you adopt anything new, okay, as it comes, you should be the first person or you should be the first organization to adopt it when something comes new. So some regulations come new or some standards come new. If you are the first one, first organization to implement it, the good thing is it will become easier for FDA inspection. Because by the time you implement and they come for audit, okay, lot of the auditors won't be trained or they'll not be aware. Okay, they won't be so strict during first stages. Early, once you have early transition during early audits or initial audits, not early. Initial audit, they won't be so serious. They'll look at whether this guy has complied, mainly look at the documentation. They won't go in depth. But after a year, since after a year, what happens is like they would have inspected more organizations or more companies. Okay. Once they inspect more organization, more companies, they will have a lot of understanding. Okay, because experience, they gain a lot of experience, and experience is very important during audits. So after a year, what because of the experience they gain auditing a lot of organizations, they will scrutinize your QMSR in depth. Okay, I told the example of MDSAP also. When I was employed, we were the first to implement MDSAP uh, in a company, in the company where I'm working in Ahmedabad. So that time inspection went on very smooth. Like actually, they are learning a lot of things from us. Okay, I told like on quality risk management. Risk management in PMS. A lot of things like on QA calendar, RA calendar, how we design it. Because they are not so, they are not, I know like they are good in some of these, but not totally capable to pinpoint till they gain some experience. So early transition you can go. Okay, you can also do seamless in the sense, though you may have this, still you can have MDSAP certification. What I mean to say is, suppose you have QMSR, okay, then you can enter into MDSAP with QMSR. Okay, suppose you can have MDSAP certification, okay, and QMSR certification either. But once you enter into MDSAP, okay, there will be one variation between, difference between entering into QMSR certification and getting certification with MDSAP. The problem is, I think I told you during MDSAP, there will be some audit, some notified bodies just that do only audits. Okay, notified bodies only do audits. They can't certify. So what they do is they send the audit report to the particular country. Okay, and they will audit report includes what are the NCs, your like root cause, COPPA verification, all that they will send. If the country regulatory body agrees, then only they will use certification. So it is a two-step procedure in MDSAP with certain notified bodies. Okay, earlier like DNV or even Intratech, they don't have authorization to give certification directly. Okay, but there are some notified bodies like BSI. BSI is a good notified body for QMS. Okay, not for regulatory purpose. QMS, quality management system, or ISO or MDSAP, BSI is the best. So they have authorization to directly give MDSAP certification. Okay. What I mean to say is that they will only look into what are the NCs, they will look at the COPPA. If the auditors are happy, BSI will grant you certification. So there are two routes for MDSAP. One is where the notified body only audits and produces a report to that particular country. They will look, scrutinize, and let you know whether they have to grant MDSAP certification or not. Sometimes it may fail. Uh, Maybe your COPPA or something are not good because it is country specific. Some may agree, US may agree, or Australia may reject. For those who accepted and agreed, you will get the MDSAP certificate. Okay, there are some notified bodies like BSI where they do the audit, they will give the certification. Okay, but in QMSR, it is only a single audit. You will get direct certification from the auditors itself. It won't go to the US FDA lens. Okay, of course, the auditors will be trained on the QMSR, But it's not exclusively that it will go to the US FDA regulatory body or FDA who are the regulators there. Okay, and they have to approve your CAPA or NCs, all that stuff. So it will be more easier in PMSR to enter into US FDA. In MDSAP, you have that option. In MDSAP, you have that option, but you need to be very selective with the notified body. Okay, and this will reduce compliance costs, like you bring down the logistics for having two audits, I mean, two separate audits for ISO and one audit for USFDA. So your cost of compliance will come down, your logistic costs, application costs, there will be a lot, like, I know for a company at the end of the audits, okay, if they're going very fair, it may cost around 10 lakhs. If they if they work back screen behind the wall and do some negotiations, it will cost them extra, or below the table some exchange that, that will cost. That do happens in India, I know, like that happens with money. Okay, I'm openly telling, there's nothing to hide. Okay, higher regulatory confidence. Once this QMSR comes in, you'll have confidence that, okay, my QMS is for US. When you say my QMS is in compliance with I mean, not QMS, QMSR is in compliance with US, which obviously means you have your QMSR is very compliant, very strict, having a lot of vigilance. Okay, and you are following, I mean, there is a continuous update of your reports or records. It's not like you are stacking a lot of things before the audits. There will be live. The problem with once FDA enters, there will be some complications like unauthorized or what we call unannounced audits. They won't announce the audit. They may announce, but just one day before they'll tell we are coming for audit. So you need to be live, active, continuous workflow should be there. Okay. Okay, we'll go fast into this. Clause wise, how they have integrated 21 CFR. Each clause, I mean, I said 1, 2, 3, it's totally aligned with 13485. USFD has totally aligned with clause 1, clause 2, clause 3, that the scope, terms, definitions, glossary, all this stuff are closely aligned. There's no difference. From clause 4, okay, you'll find more or less the same, but the intent of the FDA will be different. Okay, the intent, I said all clause, I showed fully integrated, all clause are fully integrated 4 to 8. Okay, if they have integrated, that's fine. But what is their intent? Okay, when you're doing the audits, okay, you know pretty well, guys, at the end of the day, how much work you do, how much documentation you do, how vigilant you are, you need to pass the audits. Okay, that will be the main important goal. Though your system health is important, QMS is important, your markets are important, okay, your profits are important, but here you need to pass the audits. Okay, so we need to understand, I told before only, all clauses are aligned with 13485 clause are aligned with FDA, but clause wise, if you see, okay, clause 4 basically we think it's on general on QMS, quality management system, how you will handle it, planning, implementation, all this stuff. Uh, so here the QMS scope in 134 is defined and documented. Okay, it is also similar. I don't find any risk. matches actual operation and registration. So sometimes in ISO, I know it. I know what FDA is talking about. Sometimes what we do is some of the companies do, they scope, they elaborate it so much. Okay, suppose I say I'm in the field of cardiovascular devices. Okay, or a scope I mentioned, design and development, manufacturing, distribution of cardiovascular devices. And I say some stents, catheters, okay, and other like I'll include valves, so many things. But some I may not be doing. Okay, because just to have my scope increased, and maybe next year I may start doing it. ISO accepts that you can enlarge your scope because you have plans to do it. Okay, like you may say that I may enter into other verticals on neurology also. So you can expand your scope not only on cardiovascular devices, also in neurological devices. But you currently you may not be doing that during the audit. Okay, you may say we are in design and development, but we have not yet started manufacturing or distribution. ISO allows that, but FDA want it has to have match actual operation what we are doing during the audit. So here in scope, what we need to be, we need to exactly write word to word what we are doing. Okay, don't extend it too much that don't show your future scope. In future, I'm planning next 1 year, in next 5 years, I'm planning this. So I'll keep in my scope. Okay, that is not right. That's why they mentioned it should be actual operations what you are doing and your registrations because in your registrations what you have kept like I'm going to register I have registrations for 510K BCS devices. You keep the device on don't.
Sir, I have a question over here.
Yeah.
So, if we want to expand our scope, so like something like you said, if we want to move to cardiovascular from neurological devices, then if we add that in our scope, we just need to notify the notified bodies, or a re-audit will happen?
No, we first is you need to notify the, I mean, you need to inform in return to the notified bodies that we are, our scope is enlarged to neurological devices. And second thing, they will have a special audit. Okay, special audit only for the new scope what you have added. It won't be a regular audit like, or it won't be a recertification audit like. Okay, it will be limited to the new scope what you have added. They will have additional inspection. Okay, see, if it is totally different vertical, I think you need to take it carefully. Suppose from cardiovascular, I am moving to neurological or to critical care. Okay, or something totally different from what your original scope was. Suppose say I am in cardiovascular. I say I have stents, I have catheters, I have different angiographic catheters. And I'm also there in some contrast media or some what you call it as additional devices that are used for supporting my actual devices. Like I may say I will have angiographic catheters, okay, and you want to enlarge the scope. Then you will say I'll have catheters for pre-dilatation or post-dilatation. Okay, because it is almost near to your scope because you are there in cardiovascular field. These devices also fall in the cardiovascular. So that time you may not have any problem because the domain is the same. The vertical is the same. You are in cardiovascular. You are adding some more devices in the cardiovascular which you are not shown during the audit. Okay, that time there may be some uh, flexibility But if you are going entirely to the new vertical or in new domain, saying I'm adding neurovascular, neurological or neurovascular devices, or I'm adding critical care devices, okay, or I'm going to orthopedics or dental, all this. This comes as a new, uh, something like a new vertical you're starting. Whether you're doing, I mean, there'll be a lot of questions asked, like whether doing the same in the same manufacturing facility where you have certified, or you are doing it in a separate manufacturing facility, or some facility that is aligned or in the same location, okay, or at different location. So this all complications will come. So if it is a different location, then they need to do your audit. Okay, if it is in the same location also or in the same facility, still they come for the audit to look at what is the infrastructure you have, so what is the machines you have for this different, I mean, because they are totally different portfolio of devices. Okay, if it comes under the same class of cardiovascular, they may not, because you may say that the technology is same. I'm adding few more products. The technology is same. The intended use may be little bit different, but overall it comes under cardiovascular only. That time you can skip the audit, but different verticals, different location, or if it is in the same location, same facility, I'm pretty sure even ISO insists the same. Okay. But it's important and there is a lot of risk you will run in the scope. So it is medium, you'll have the risk. Okay, process interactions identified, but here we need to demonstrate effectively. In ISO, what we see, we will produce one chart like this process is interacting with raw materials to R&D, R&D to production, production to some QC, this. Then you come to your measurement analysis or PMS. Then you connect it to some other. You have a process interaction chart, which I showed to you in ISO 134. But here they want to demonstrably effective. In the sense, you need to show, okay, in a practical situation, okay, how your process interaction is happening. Okay, generally it happens like without process interaction, one process can't go alone. Okay, but there will be some companies where you don't show process interaction because they are not aligned. Okay, suppose I am doing an OEM for some company for some spares or some components. These components may not be aligned to the devices which I am manufacturing. It's an OEM or some what we call OBL or some form I'm manufacturing for other company. Okay, so that you need to define in your scope. Okay, what you're doing in OEM or OBL or contract manufacturing and what you are outsourcing. See, whatever you outsource is a part of QMS. You are responsible for what you are outsourcing. Okay, but that has to be demonstrable wherein it can be easily done. I don't think any company will find difficult in demonstrating the process interaction. Okay, suppose from design and development, how it goes, you do design transfer to production. Okay, from production where it goes, in production you'll have a lot of different processes. Okay, first you have the raw material turned into components, then you do assembly. In assembly, you use a lot of processes. There's some welding, I mean, like it could be anything, extrusions to weldings to different things. This becomes very critical mainly in class 3 devices. Okay, higher risk devices, the process interactions. And I know like the difficult process interaction which they look is how you are connecting the risk. Okay, because risk is not a process. Okay? But risk is there everywhere in the clause. So from design development, are you transferring your what you have done in the risk management file? Are you transferring that into production that these are my residual risks? Okay, these are the risk accepted. Mainly what are the risk control documents? Okay, risk control or risk mitigation documents, have you done it? Because that is main. See, inputs, outputs, verification, validation, everybody does that. Design transfer, you need to be very careful. All the documentation is transferred. But when you come to risk, many people neglect that. That risk also has to be, I mean, it's not the risk management also has to be transferred to production. Or in all the processes in production, it has to be transferred, demonstrated. Okay, that we have risk acceptable. Okay, of course, if you have any residual risk that you need to mention, and this will carry with the product when it goes into a PMS in the PMS or in the form of a label. That's what I'm saying, not in the form of a label, in the form of an IFU. What this risk, how this risk will be mentioned in IFU? Have I discussed this? How the risk?
Maybe like contraindications,
Yeah.
how we should not use.
How the residue? Yeah, you are good, Vimati, today. Though it's very cold in Canada. I think you have the room heater.
Minus 25 years.
Yeah, you increase the temperature of the room heater. Yeah, what you said is right. All these residual risks in okay in coherence with the already reported adverse events of your device. Maybe from model you pick up, if you have a predicated device, you can see what are the adverse events with the device. Or it could be an event, adverse event, serious adverse events. A lot of model gives you a lot of things like now Udemy also will start giving, and some lot of things you'll get from literature, a lot of things you'll get from registries, or a lot of literature you get from meta-analysis studies. Okay, to me, I think meta-analysis and real-world studies are very important. Okay, if you get a meta-analysis publication, uh, that will be great because meta-analysis basically is a club of, I think, Madhu knows this, is a combination of all clinical trials. They bring it together and do a publication. Okay. It's a sum of all clinical trials and they project it as one publication. So in one publication, you will have 10, 12 clinical trials or registries that are combined and they come out with the results of that. So better focus more on meta-analysis studies than case studies. Okay, single case studies doesn't have much value. Or registries, PMCF is also fine, whether it focus more on prospective randomized, okay, and registries, importantly on meta-analysis studies. Actually, what I was telling. Yeah. See, all these risks and events, adverse events are basically the residual risks. In your IFU, they come as either one, they'll come as warnings. Okay. They come as precautions. Three, they will come as contraindications. Okay, there is a lot of difference between these three. Okay. See, precautions, I'll come from back. Contraindications means it specifically your IFU or your device should not be used at any circumstances in that patient. That is contraindication. It is totally not indicated. Okay, maybe in children, basically we will have a list of things where we contraindicate. Okay, like it should not be used in children below 18 years. I mean, I'm not talking of pediatric devices. I'm talking of general devices used in adults. Okay, or you should not be used with uh, those who have allergy with this particular polymer or particular metal. Okay, or you should not use this device in particular. Like basically, you encounter this. Okay, in three categories contraindication. One is in geriatrics in children. Second is in pediatrics in old people in some special situations if they are above 60 or something like 80. In that category, because we in the clinical trials are male clinical trials are very controlled. So in controlled clinical trials, exclusion criteria basically will be okay, don't include patients who are above 60. Okay, generally I see in all clinical trials or investigator brochures. We exclude all those patients, geriatric patients, okay, old patients who are above 60, because above 60 they carry a lot of risk. And we'll exclude children, okay, below 18 or below 16. And the other category is we basically exclude all pregnant women. Okay, in most of the studies we exclude pregnant women because pregnant women have in all the three trimesters, first trimester, second or third, basically in the second and third, their physiological system will be very different, okay, during pregnancy than when they are normal, when they are not in pregnancy. Okay, there will be a lot of physiological, biological changes that happen because of hormonal changes. Okay, I can take 1 hour class on that. Because what we call this as special population. What is special population? Pediatrics, geriatrics, old people, and pregnant women. Okay, these are special populations. So you need to be very careful when you are writing your IFU on contraindication, whether these three special population, three special population who are patients or contraindicated, or if it is indicated, you should have substantial clinical data. If you don't have data and say you can pregnant woman can use if there is an adverse event or a mortality, then you will be screwed. Like okay, you may say like I'll check it in the real world PMCF post marketing clinical follow up. I'll include women also, pregnant women. This is not allowed. Okay, that's why real world experience is more important, and your inclusion exclusion criteria in clinical trials, okay, is very clinical trials are most like though they are randomized, but they are more controlled trials. Why we control clinical trials? Because we want our device to show more benefits, okay, and zero risk. I mean, that's the idea. I know what is under beneath any investigator brochure. But that is not good to have more exclusions. You can exclude lot of subjects from in your clinical trials and investigator project, but you have more exclusions and very little inclusions. You will say I will do only in adults around 30 to 45 years. Adults 30 to 40 years will be almost they have disease or patient, they always will be healthy and your device will be successful in performance or in clinical. Okay, procedural success will be there, clinical success will be there. I mean, if you look at the two broad endpoints, I mean, clinical endpoints, you'll have primary and clinical endpoint. But once you include somebody which are, I said that's what's the problem. When you go to the real world, then only you'll understand what are the risks. Okay, that is on contraindication. What are precautions? Okay, precautions doesn't advise that your device should not be used. They say while using the device, take some precautions. You can use the device in that patient, but take certain precautions. Like say I'm using a device in a patient who have a compromised circulatory system. His veins and arteries are very small. I can't insert any, catheter or something like that, or a IV drip into that. You have to take precautions in giving him vasodilator, so the vessels will dilate. So you can easily track your catheter or drip set or something. Okay, or there are a lot of precautions they'll provide for different devices. It will be same. They'll give precautions. Suppose if he has like in a particular in the usage of particular device in a surgery, yes, there is particular patient has too much prone to bleeding. Okay, like what we call him may have hemophilia or certain things. Then they give precautions. You should have some blood readily available. Okay, there will be a lot of things. I can't tell examples now. If you tell any device, I can quote the examples like what could be the precautions. Okay, and there will be third. First is precautions. The second is warnings. Okay, warnings are that which basically include like you will have a chance of an adverse event. Okay, but in the context of the clinical data, what is available, we have not observed it. Okay, the clinical data, what is available with us, where the clinical reports, what are available with us, are in the clinical investigations or trials we have done with the device or with the predicate to device. Okay, we have not seen it. In the sense, warnings are something where you are not sure. It may raise to a new risk, not already existing risk. Okay, they warn you, you need to be very careful. Again, mainly these things. Okay, I have seen warnings mainly of off-label use. They say in indications that these have to be used in so and so procedure for so and so intended in cardiac or something like orthopedics or some, but they use it off-label where it is not indicated. But they will take the risk. You manufacturers should won't be responsible for any off-label adverse events. Am I right? Ajit, am I right?
Yes,
Is there
sir.
any?
Sir,
Yes,
but
sir.
you said already, whatever, even it is not manufacturer is responsible once.
Yeah, I told you that. I just rechecking whether you remember it, but you have good memory. See, off-label use basically we call user error. User error could be an off-label use also. You don't mention in your IFU that it has to be used, but they use it off-label because they find it relevant for that particular, like for patient or particular disease. Okay. Mainly this happens with moderate to high risk devices. High risk basically come mainly in the implants, which are permanent implants. They may come in active implants. They come in also, okay, prolonged implants, prolonged or moderate, like some devices stay in body for 30 days, like dialysis catheters or some orthopedic implants. Now we have more biodegradable orthopedic implants, not the metallic. So they degrade after 30 days or 60 days. These are short-term implants. Long-term implants are there in your body throughout your life till we die, and after we die also the ashes will have these devices because they are metallic or something like that. So what I asked is now, as per the new regulations in UMDR and also the new regulations that have come, amendment that come in ISO 13485, if it is used off label, okay, if there is an adverse event that happened because they are using your device, you manufacture the device, okay, and somebody using it off label, and there is a serious adverse event, okay, the severity may be high, could be mortality, I mean, mortality or morbidity, high morbidity. The manufacturer, earlier it was not so. Now with the new regulations, it is the manufacturer's responsibility. You need to, I mean, be responsible for any adverse events, complaints, events, anything that happens because of user error. Here specifically I am telling of off-label use. Okay, user error in the sense, user error has a lot of things. It's not only off-label use. User error also, like he won't do as per the procedure. Okay, he thinks that he's a great doctor. Even a house surgeon does that. A technician does that. Okay, but we'll give in the IFQ that how to use the device. But there will be clear instructions how to use that particular device. Even if it is a class 1 device also or class 2 also, will give instructions of use or how to from the stage of opening it to give instructions, everything. But if it is off-label use and you have adverse events, why it becomes manufacturer responsibility is, okay, no, because manufacturer is providing to an hospitals, okay, he should be aware. Again, I'm repeating, this basically happens in high-risk devices or class 3 or class 2B, because he should be aware on the traceability of the device. Okay, it's not just marketing your device to the hospital. Okay, you should have a data that this device from single device, suppose you have given 100 devices, from each and every device for all the 100, or you should know in which patient it is used, for what indication it is used. Okay, and sometimes we need to have post clinical follow-up. Okay, you need to have a follow-up. It depends upon the device, like for implants, you should have something. USFDA says you should have a 5-year patient follow-up. EU, Europe says you should have at least 3 years follow-up of the patient. So what I mean, I'm trying to make you understand is that you should have a track of devices, where they are, in which hospital, where they have implanted, what is the patient, what is the indication. Okay, and everything has to be traceable. Suppose somebody does it off label, you are responsible for it, obviously. I totally agree with that. If somebody use off label, I say use this stunt. What I'm talking more on implants, because don't take me wrong. I work, of course, not most, all of my career was in class 3 only. Class 3 mainly in cardiovascular, neurovascular, critical care devices. I do work on some class 2B, but not in class 1 or class 2. It's not that I don't have interest, but by default I joined those companies where they are producing manufacturing class 3. Okay, what happens is, if there is an adverse, I ask them to use that in a cardiac vessel or in coronary arteries, but he uses it in peripheral, like in iliac or in the renal artery, he opens up the vessels. That's high risk, like you don't know what's going to happen. Because high risk devices have very narrow tolerances. If you just miss that, okay, narrow tolerances in the time, okay, like I want this stunt to be placed in expanded in 10 seconds. Suppose you expand it for more time, 15 seconds. See, it's all matter of seconds, things may go wrong. Okay, even in heart valves, okay, defibrillators, mitral valves, aortic valves, okay, more like because you are dealing with a very critical organ in architecture, in structure, and the disease is serious, and you are using a high risk device. So that is where the manufacturer will need to take accountability if there is any off-label or user error. If it is off-label error, okay, the manufacturer. If there is a user error because he is using as he likes, still you need to take responsibility, which says that, I mean, as per the regulation, they said you need to train him. Basically, this comes for new devices. But even for already existing device in the market, you need to train people, okay, for your end users. And a lot of things are there. This is as per UMDR and also on the risk management that came in ISO 13485. Sorry, ISO 14971, which says that user error. And the most important thing is earlier when we used to write risk management files, okay, that one of the risk control document, I have done it many a times. I used to use IFU as a risk control document, okay, for many of the risks, whether it's user error or any of the risks. I used to say the risk control is IFU document. He hasn't followed the IFU, hence there are risks. Okay, I gave it clearly in IFU. The indications are this, but he has used for some other indication. I will say that in IFU, I told him these are the precautions and warnings. He has not taken them, and hence this is the complaint or the adverse event. I will tell a lot of things that the procedure is not done as given in the IFU, because my IFU is the risk control document. I have mentioned everything. He has not done it, so it's not my problem. It's not a manufacturer problem. Okay, we used to close a lot of complaints like that. Even in risk also, we used to say this is the risk control document. IFU was the risk control document. But now it is clearly mentioned, you cannot use IFU as a risk control document. Okay, instead of giving that IFU as risk, you write more about, okay, training them. Training in the sense not on the surgery, talking about your device, how to use them, what are the procedures, warnings, contraindications, all that stuff. You need to go and speak to the doctors. Okay. Big companies do a lot of training programs for doctors, like Medtronic or about J&J. Of course, a lot of companies give training to doctors. In the specialized field, whether it's cardiology or neurology, orthopedics, or nephrology, or in some critical care, they give training. So that has to be a risk control document, not the IFU. So your risk control now will be your training procedures, your brochures, what you have shared, your documents, what you have shared with them, not the IFU. And many of you know very much, no doctor will read the IFU. Okay. It's like giving a IFU. The IFU, nobody will read it. Everybody throws it out. Okay, but it is mandatory. We need to keep it in every device. Yeah. Actually, what I was talking, where I went. This one processing document control. Okay, control document. See, this is what I told. Not much difference. They want real-time availability. They want everything real time, live, all this stuff. It's as if they are doing something on a moon mission, coming and stepping onto the moon, trying to understand everything live. Okay, like Chandrayaan or Mangalyaan missions. Okay, a record control is retention. We call in ISO it is we have the retention. But here when they ask, suppose they ask where are the 2003 records? Sorry, 2023 records. How much time you take to bring those records? Okay, they check. Okay, how you will retrieve? Retrieve with inspection timelines. Suppose if you take say 2 hours to retrieve 2023 records, which means your record retention is not properly structured. Okay, or you have not made labels of your records or identification marks or location of your records because this is mandatory. You will have something like a document wherein you exactly know what is the record name, okay, what is the date and year, okay, mainly in the retention of records, okay, in which shelf it is placed, okay, you have to name the shelves, and in that shelf, okay, you need to mention what is the shelf number or rack number, something like that. This is when you do it retention of records manually, okay, but retrieval of records, I know like I am also an employee. I faced a lot of difficulty to retrieve retained records. It takes time, but this is classically we do on a paper. We'll have like we maintain a registry. Like we'll know exactly in which shelf or which rack it is. Okay, in that rack, which shelf it is, which shelf it is numbered. All that you should be able to retrieve in 5 minutes, not take 2-3 hours to retrieve. But if it is an electronic record, you can retrieve it in 1 minute. Just type that year and everything, you'll get it. But nobody of late is using, I mean, few companies are using EQMS or digital records or what we call electronic QMS, EQMS. And I think I told to you like there are some problems with EQMS and there are some advantages with EQMS. Okay, the problem is not with the EQMS, the problem is with the employees because once you enter the data in EQMS, because it works like a tally, the whole system of tallying. Once you enter data and say that, press that data entered and send, okay, you can't change the data again. By mistake also if you entered wrong data. Okay, in electronic EQMS, that is one problem. And second is you can't manipulate data. Because manually you can manipulate data. Suppose you have whatever data you want, you can enter into paper. If that data is not on, you tear it up and write again. But in electronic records, you can't, once you enter data and share it to the next process or to the next department, you cannot come back and change that data or that record or whatever. You can't change it. That's the problem with India. Okay, because we do a lot of, not we, few of the companies do duplication and manipulation, and but this is something on clause 4. Clause 5 I said management commitment is defined. I told you in MDSAP. Most of the things what I told in MDSAP will come here. Okay, here the management has to demonstrate it personally. Okay, not like you define it in a document, this is the management commitment. But personally, they will interact and they have to define your commitment or demonstrate your commitment. Quality policy is document. They'll see whether it's actively implemented. In many USFDA audits I have seen, they ask even the shop floor employee, what is your quality policy? Okay, when it reaches to the shop floor only, which means people are aware what are your policies. It's not the HODs or the management representative or the management should know what is their quality policy, what is their quality objectives. Okay, the last man in your company who is in the shop floor should know in any language. It is not that he has to structure the sentence as it is written in your quality policy, which you paste or which you keep in your walls of your offices and labs. But at least he should tell in some phrases or rephrase it and tell what are company's quality policies. That's what USFDA are. ISO, I don't think that nobody will ask. Okay, management review. We have periodic here also it will be periodic, but it is more risk driven, outcome focused. So they'll ask whether your management review included risks. If you are not doing this, what are the risks? Okay, and is the management committed to eliminate this risk? Okay, if they are in the review, I think you must, I don't know how many participated in management review. Review will have a protocol or agenda, what has to be discussed. It will have a lot of things in the agenda, mainly on what are the complaints. Basically, the complaints will be the main issue. Okay, or adverse events, I will stop the complaints, like still it is continuing, what are the risks. So this has to be not only discussed but actively implemented, and the outcome should be focused. Like we said, it's not just CAPA. You need to verify the CAPA so that it won't reoccur. Okay, regulatory, this is very important. Uh, Regulatory awareness implicit means we think that they have some understanding or on the regulatory awareness or updates of the regulation, or the group has some understanding. Here is expectation means that they need to tell openly what regulatory awareness they have. If they say EUMDR is there, what is their awareness on EUMDR? Some changes have been proposed 1 month back. Have you heard of this? We will ask the management. If they say yes, we know the changes are happening, we'll ask what are the changes. They ask what is the document, I mean, biocompatibility, what is the new edition. Still they are saying it 2018. I mean, which means that they don't have regulatory awareness. They may not bother much on regulatory awareness, but most importantly on the commitment they'll interrogate. So that's why I say what it is, they say what management knows, not what is written. Okay, it should not, yeah, it should be in the documentation. You should know, write all chapter 5 related to clause 5 on management, commitment, all that stuff. But they should also know, or it will be like an one-to-one discussion. Okay, resource management competency, we define and we make it train. As I told, they look at the training effectiveness. How to check the training effectiveness? There are different methods. Okay, and the risk is very high between ISO and FDA. Okay, I forgot to look at risk here. Here your commitment is risk is very high when compare these two, ISO and FDA, PMSR. This is also high management. See, management has a lot of risk. I mean, clause files, not management. Clause files are a lot of risk. Here, competency, you need to provide the effectiveness, like you train him, you test him, you provide his examination, he passes. But on the ground, on the shop floor, he is able to do, I mean, himself, that particular job is allocated to. Okay, we do initially under this supervision of the head. Later, he has to do individually. And guys, that is fine, some jobs. But there will be some areas where you need very specialized skill which you don't see. Okay, like I can tell you a lot of things. Maybe Arulmati knows that some design and development and other things. Okay, so you need to be very careful on the training effectiveness. Okay, product contamination risk, fit for internet use, these are all medium. And in product realization, this is the one which will have a high risk. I said this clause 7 is the one which will have a lot of warning letters. Okay, top FDA 483 area, 483 is warning letters. Okay. Planning, very high risk. Your planning of product realization should be risk based. Okay, not just planning. It has to be risk based. What are the risks associated with the production planning? Customer related process 7.2. Okay, this is also high risk when we compare with ISO. Requirements review. Here you need to, generally when we have customer related process, we review this or the customer's requirement. But FDA says that whether that requirements have regulatory compliance to manufacture in your organization, or they can be identified and labeled properly, okay, as per the FDA. So this is a high risk. And I told design and development, everything are high or very high. They won't leave anything from your inputs to your changes, transfers, verification, validation. Okay, DHF I said. Why I remember DHF is I faced this design and development, I mean, in MDSAP inspections. I faced this tough time with the auditors in explaining the DF almost whole day. Okay, this is very high risk when compared to ISO. ISO we don't maintain DHFs, but explain this is very critical. So in US, I told this also in MDSAP. US takes design and development very seriously. Purchasing controls, high risk-based controls. Okay, here we do supplier evaluation in ISO, but you need to link risk also. All in production and service control, they are high risk compared to ISO. Okay, process validation. When I say scientifically justified, you need to use a lot of logic and statistics. Okay. Any data without statistics is for US FDA, any data without using statistics is a data that can be dumb. Okay. See, when you use statistics, it is scientifically valid. When you don't use statistics in your data, okay, from your sampling size, in your validation, how many samples you picked up, why you picked up. Okay, what is the rationale? What is the statistics you applied? What are your confidence interval? What is your p-value, probability? What is the power of your study? Okay, a lot of things will come in. It has to be not only I'm saying on sampling side, it could be in your results. Your validation results are so and so. So you need to apply statistics to show that why we need to apply statistics and all these p-values, because validations we conduct only once or twice in a year. Any validation, we don't do every day. And we do it only once or twice in a year or maximum thrice in a year. So you need to apply statistics to prove scientifically that though I validated it for 2 times or 3 times, so whenever I use it whole of the year, okay, it gives me a probability of 99% success or 99 per your p-value tells a probability or confidence interval. Sometimes you say 95%. Basically, the gold standard is to say 95% CI, confidence intervals. But if you are saying that I am confident, though I have validated it for 2 times, my confidence intervals or my confidence is 99% 9, that it will operate properly as per my validation. How you arrive at 99.9 CI? Or what is the probability, confidence intervals, what is the power of study, how these are all statistics. You need to apply statistics to prove your validation is right. Okay, change control documented, fully assessed approach. Traceability as applicable, but it has to be enforced because traceability, even except India, almost all countries take traceability very seriously. Because actually India should take it more seriously because we are a big country, large population, so many hospitals. We don't know which device is lying there. And you know the story I told you many times, recent, what happened in pharma on cough syrup. 40 kids died, 40 children died because nobody can find traceability in which hospitals it is. After 1 or 2 kids died, they should have given advisory notice to recall it. But nobody knows in which hospital this cough syrup is, in which state it is. There is no traceability in India. If this incident would have occurred in US or Europe or in some Western countries like Canada or somewhere, it will become a big healthcare issue. Okay, it will be a top headline for almost 3-4 days. But in India, it comes in the last page. 40 children died in Bihar and Madhya Pradesh who have taken this cough syrup adulterated with polyethylene glycol. Investigation is going on. Okay, the regulatory authority, CDSCO, has seized the company. That's what. We will forget it. And again, there will be another incident. Another 100 people will die. That company will, after 3-4 months, the same company will start functioning, operating. So we are very reactive and we never enforce all this stuff. We give them, you can do it, you cannot. If possible, you do it. But you need to enforce it as a law. Your traceability has to be enforced. Indians follow when it is enforced on them. Okay. If you say them, it's okay, possible you do, or give some, if you give them 5% or even 1% space, okay, they'll find ways how to, how to bypass it, how to violate that. Okay, we Indians are very intelligent, okay, in bypassing, or we'll find ways. We are very intelligent in finding ways, okay, how to trespass the law. We never find intelligent ways how to follow the law, how to follow the regulation. We always think in a negative mindset, how can I avoid this, trespass this, violate it, but still not be caught? Because that is not my problem. That is problem of the public. They will die. There is a big concern in India. Yeah, this 8 is very important. Most of them are high. Okay, feedback, I said, this is one trend analysis. I think I told to you before only. The feedback or customer feedback, it's not like you collect and keep it in your rack. You should follow what is the trend of the complaints or the customer feedbacks are very good if you collect them because they'll exactly tell you what's going wrong. Okay, like a proactive approach. But in India, what we do, we only fill out the customer feedback reports because we need to show to the regulators. Okay, I have 5 team. I'll give them all 10 customer reports. They will fill it and they fill everything very good, fine, excellent. That is not a genuine one. You need really to go to the customers and see how the device is performing, how the product is, and find a trend. What are the major issues that are recurring? So you can take an action top off. That is a proactive approach. Before the thing happened, before the complaint happened, you are doing a proactive approach because you know that that is a recurrent event. Okay, complaints handled yearly. It is predictive analysis, timely MDR link means medical device reporting you need to do. It's a very high. There's a lot of difference between ISO and FDA because in FDA you need to report this to MODE timely. Timely in the sense within 15 days of an adverse event. Sorry, 15 days of, sorry, 7 days of an serious adverse event you need to report. 15 days of an adverse event you need to report. Okay. And for any event, a small injury or something like that, you may take 30 days. So 1 week. Actually, in serious adverse event, also you have some like serious adverse events which have public threat. Okay. Like an epidemic, it is causing harm to the patient. It has to be reported in 1 day because it is an epidemic, it's spreading. So there will be a lot of people killed or died, fatality, mortality, morbidity, anything happen. So day one, within 24 hours, you need to report it if you find anything that is spreading in an epidemic manner. And some adverse events, sorry, serious adverse events, you can report in 7 days. Adverse events, you can report in 15 days. And any small events like issue with field safety corrective action, but don't have an impact on the patient, risk to the patient. Some maintenance issues, some labeling issues that you can report in 30 days. So there is a timely MDR link through MODE or give it to the notified body. Yeah, we learned a lot about internal audits is periodic, but it's also periodic here. But independent and effective, we know what is independent. You need to do independently, not linked to your department. Okay, and you need to do without bias. See, this is what I said, root cause address. If there is any non-conforming product, how you are going to control? You need to control it with root cause address, not just control it. Control in the sense if I have any non-conforming product, ISO what says you keep it separately, segregate in separate room. But what FDA is asking, okay, you have a non-conforming product, but you find root cause why it is not conforming. Why it didn't meet your specification? Find a root cause, then you separate it. ISO says just you separate it, segregate it, keep it in a separate room, all non-conforming products. FDA says you need to investigate why this non-conformity has come or like what is the root cause of this. Okay, data analysis, I know like ISO never do data analysis. ISO I said data didn't reviewed all this stuff. But again, as FDA says like it has to follow certain trends. Okay, like whether what trend analysis you are doing. You are doing a linear regression or you're following a logistic. Okay, or following another any other statistics. Okay, copper is more critical, I told you. Not only finding root cause and copper, you should give high importance to effectiveness of the copper that it won't recur. Copper initiation defined, it is risk-based. Root cause required. here it is required, it is to be scientifically sound. If it is scientifically sound only, you will understand the real root cause. Okay, then you can effectively do corrective preventive action. I know, like for any complaint, root cause, papa, reoccurrence, all this stuff. To me, the important gravity or importance is on finding the root cause. Okay, if you are in PMS team, if you are good in finding the root cause, I think you will excel in your organization. Root cause, if you can do root cause analysis of any complaint perfectly, because I personally faced this tough situation for almost 6 months. When we had a lot of complaints, okay, I had sleepless nights that time, head of PM, sleepless night, and we are dealing with implants. Okay, I think I told you, a lot of complaints pouring day in, day out. Couple of people died, and we stopped production. And my chairman told to me, Sagar, you take control of this and don't do any production till you do copper and check the effectiveness of copper. Okay, for almost 12 complaints, which are regular and recurring. So that was a very memorable time in my career. We could do it effectively. Of course, it's all teamwork. But I was leading that, and we released the product after 6 months, and I signed it with my hands, which are very confident that we have done. But after that, we never faced this complaint. Okay, I can tell the company also, it releases medical device, it's in Hyderabad. It's a care sister concern of care hospitals. These are already outside specific is medical device reporting, UDI, labeling, registration, and listing. These don't come under UMS. So outside, but you need to be compliant. Okay. Adverse event reporting, advisory notice, UDI, I said is for traceability, labeling, registration and listing. Registration and listing comes in chapter 2 of MDSAP. MD or medical device reporting comes in chapter 4 of MDSAP. Okay, this comes under chapter 2. Okay, this comes under chapter 4. The other is UDI. UDI is on traceability, labeling. I said you need to follow 801 and 830. There is also one 803. So if you look at a final executive summary of what is the level of risk, I know like it starts from clause 8 in COPPA, very high risk. Okay, I'm talking about comparing ISO with USFDA or QMS. And we have discussed a lot. I mean, I'm very tired of using, using this sentence. Design. Design change, DHF, very critical, very high risk. COPPA, complaint handling, these are all PMS. COPPA, complaint handling, very high. Of course, management commitment we discussed. In this also I said, it came as chapter 1 because management has to be aware. Training effectiveness, this also we discussed. It is not only training, but see the effectiveness of. Okay, with this I'll close. I'll share this. You can look at clause wise what is relevant, what is not relevant. But most of them are relevant. I again repeat, the intent how you are applying those clause need to be very perfect, pakka, risk driven, data driven, focus, okay, live, continuous. I can sum it up and say that this is what. Okay, risk based, data driven trend analysis, data analytics. Okay, DHF, effectiveness, okay, it's COPPA complaint, verification of effectiveness of COPPA, or effectiveness of training, more focus Okay, more enforced. In India, it is more important. You need to enforce. I hope some government comes and makes all these things in India as a law. Okay, if you make it a law, then you can file criminal cases against all manufacturers who doesn't look at things. Okay, of course, it's also in pharmaceutical, but in pharmaceutical, I mean, in medical devices also, it's the same situation. Okay, with this, I close for today. So what we'll do, maybe next class, I'll go with I mean, just for half an hour, I'll discuss on what are the gap analysis and changes in biocompatibility 10993. What are the new things we need to adopt? Because I know like most of you are not involved in biocompatibility. Okay, but few, even Madhu, she works on robotics, but when there is a human contact or material contact with human, like their metals, we need, I mean, I know like it's a more changes that happen on leachables and extractables, which you need to work out on. Okay, and there is on reuse of the device. When you reuse the device, what is the duration you are using? Okay, that also changes, and there are few things which I'll tell you. Then next week we'll switch on to the most important subject. Subject is important, topic is important, it's important everywhere in our life, and I like that. I mean, bottom of my heart, I'm telling, I like this topic, that is risk management. So we'll jump to that. We'll spend solid 8 hours on that and learn whatever we can, both on risk management. First, we'll look into risk management into products or devices. Okay. First, we'll look at the concept of risk management. What is 14971 telling? How to integrate, and we will link it. Okay, to the regulations. What EUMDR wants in risk, what other countries, what India wants, or IMDR wants, what MDSAP countries wants in their devices, mainly the devices link. Okay, what basic regulations want in device risk management. Okay, QMS is different. Risk management in QMS that we can close easily. Okay, then after that, we'll do some very simple assignments, like what are the risk controls, how you will work on residual risk. Okay, because I said risk index or risk severity, a risk index is severity into probability, severity of risk into occurrence or probability of risk. Some in US they say risk index is severity into probability, okay, and into detectability. How easily can you detect? So in USFDA and other countries, they use 3 words for quantifying the risk. So what we call risk index. Severity, okay, occurrence or probability, and detectability. In Europe, even in India, we use only 2. That is occurrence of probability into severity of risk. It will be very interesting. I know you will like that subject. I'll make it more interesting looking into high risk devices and why it is not important for low risk devices. Okay. Take care, Madhu, Leela, and Arulmati. Good night. Have a great Sunday tomorrow. I'll share yesterday we didn't talk much, but still I'll share the video recording and today's recording also by tomorrow afternoon.
Okay,
Okay.
sir.
Yeah, bye. Take care.
Thank you.